Playing a little bass.
West Texas is the best Texas, from the Panhandle to the Trans-Pecos, from the Llano Estacado all the way down to Big Bend. There's something in the dust out here, there's something in the wind. Not like Dallas, Texas, more like Crystal Palace, Texas. All the
Welcome back, Kevin. Here we are again doing another episode of How to Be a Texan. Jeez,
How to be? Come on, man!
I forgot
What are you
what's
doing?
the name of our program even anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we take a month or two off, and you can't even remember what to do.
25 months. We took
25 months.
We took it wasn't even COVID. I mean, it was just like whatever.
This is post-COVID. Yeah.
I'm just having my menopause break or something. I don't know.
No, I think we were so happy to get out of the house after COVID lockdown. We just wouldn't have a good time for a couple years.
I was doing.
That's what I did.
Well, anyway, I like that intro, except it kind of gave me a little heart skip because our little theme music was playing so fast. It's like crazy. So anyway, But I like the West Texas one. So we got an update today on, I don't know, a few things, 25 months worth of things. But
well, I had to fade it out on the West Texas. It started throwing Dallas under the bus there, so I had to move on.
Well, you can't.
It goes on to throw Austin and Houston. I appreciate the Houston angle, but we'll come
you
back
said
to
something
that
about armpit of Texas. I can't remember what you said, but
Houston's the armpit of Texas. Why are they so nasty down there? I've still never gotten an answer to that question.
I just texted my buddy Buck, and anyway, it's fine down there. They're good people. They're good people.
People are great. Yeah,
people in Texas are great. But I like that West Texas. So anyway, that West Texas song is funny. I actually added it to my library because I thought it was fun. Nice. And we are going to talk about one trip in particular that he hits on. It's that Big Bend, and so. You reminded me that back when we did our Big Bend episode, neither one of us had ever been down there, and we committed to do it, and I did it in the last 25 months. So.
I did it too. Kendra and I went to Big Bend also. We'll share our experience. It was It was similar to yours, I think.
Slightly different on another freaking continent. So anyway.
Okay. Well, there was some confusion. Even on the last episode, there was some confusion about which Big Bend we were referring to.
Or the Rio Grande?
Yeah.
Which river you were near?
Andrew caused a bunch of confusion. Remember that? Here, I'll play you the clip. Listen to this.
Okay.
Oh, now that's a clock, right? And
no,
I didn't know that was in Texas.
No, the Big Bend is literally a giant bend in the Rio Grande River.
No, it's that clock tower in London.
It's London, and I'm failing to understand the Texas reference.
Wait a second, I've been researching the Big Ben clock tower in London.
Well, that would be How to Be a Londononian,
and wondering what this had to do with Texas.
Yeah, that would be weird. Hey, today we wanted to talk about
this whole thing's weird. We just need to start this episode over. So that's from previous episodes. So we did an episode on Big Ben. I think it was number 60-ish something. I'll look that up so we can share it with folks. But it might be good if people are listening that haven't heard that one to go back and listen to that after they hear this one.
Yeah, because we gave
that one was a little more educational. It
was educational. It was very generic. So today I've got like full blast. I'm going to tell you punch you right in the nose and tell you what happened.
Hey, all right.
Because it's all my warnings and foreshadowings were legit. So,
but it's just going to be in the nose. It's going to be above a belt, right? Because I didn't wear a cup. I didn't wear a cup to this episode. Okay.
No, but it'll. I'm going to draw blood. Let's put it that way because it's.
All right.
I'm just kidding. It's fine.
It was intense.
But hey, before we get going, Kevin, what in the world you been up to last few months or so?
Oh man, tons.
Yeah, having fun,
living the dream, doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? You know what we should do is after we go through the Big Bend experience, we should do some ranch updates. It'd be good to hear what you're doing. We can give you an update about how we sold the farm. But we'll come to that.
Jeez, that's so sad. Sad but good, because I know your new digs and they're awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about that, because I got tons and tons and tons of ranch updates, but I'll try to abbreviate it by animal. So there you go. So okay. So here's the deal. Back in May, I had the opportunity to go down, and I had to go interview all these young people down in San Antonio. And I've been telling Amy for a long time, I'm like, hey, I really want to go do this. And I asked the kids, I'm like, my kids are all 20-something-ish. And I said, hey, does anybody want to do this? And they're all like, no, that sounds terrible. I don't want to go do that. And so I'm like, fine, I'll just go solo. I'm just going to go solo, because now I'm on this big national park bend where I want to go and hit. And they gave me this picture, and it's right above my desk right here, Kevin. And it's got push pins, and you can push a pin in every national park. And there's I think 58 of them for the U.S. national parks. And I'm, kind of plowing through that.
How many have you done so far?
I don't know, a handful up there. I don't know. We'll call it 8 or 10.
Smoky Mountain?
I went, but you can't necessarily. I didn't go inside the park, so I was there at Dollywood, but I didn't necessarily go in. So I don't know if that really counts. So I'm not going to.
So when we were there, maybe it's different now, but we drove through the park. We just drove through it. I think we stopped and got out and took some pictures and stuff like that. It was absolutely beautiful.
It's beautiful,
but Dollywood's beautiful too. It's a good theme park.
No,
it's actually really nice.
It is, and I just had some friend Hurd who was on with us. He took his family there like a month ago, and they had a blast. Anyway, okay, so back to Big Bend. I just decided I'm going to interview all these young people down in San Antonio. I'm driving, and I'm basically halfway there. So I'm like SpongeBob. I'm already halfway there. I don't know if
is it really halfway? I thought Big Bend was just way out there.
It was a lengthy drive beyond San Antonio. So it ended up being like 800 miles or maybe 500 miles. I don't know. I think 580 miles. I think that's the number. Because at the end of my Big Bend experience, I looked at Waze and I realized I was so far from home. But I'm like, whatever. I'm going. It's time to go home, and I'm on the road. So anyway, I went after my interviews on, I don't know, they were like Wednesday or Thursday, and then I took off Friday morning and drove and got down there, that afternoon. So, which was cool. So anyway, you want me to tell you a little bit about the trip itself?
Yeah, man. I'd love to hear about it.
Well,
I didn't get an invite, even though we had both committed.
I already knew. I already knew the answer. I didn't even ask you, because I knew what was going to happen, because I don't have.
That could have been the time that it was different.
No. Because let me describe to you the rustic way that I decided.
All right, let's get into it.
So I said, well, I'm not going to. I don't have an RV. I really don't have a pull behind camper. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't even have a camper on my truck. So I just said, fine, I used to love camping, so I'm just going to go buy. I bought a $16 tent on Amazon, and I just drove down with an ice chest and a bunch of camping stuff, and I reserved these $15 sites, or maybe 20, I can't remember what it was, but you can get on the website. And in park, you can go to these kind of roadside campsites, and you can reserve them for the day, which is really cool. And so I reserved three of them, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. And I was going to stay and then drive all day back on Monday. And I wanted to hike as many trails as I possibly could. So I get down there, and the impression that we gave was it's this 810,000 acre, gigantic park. And it was exactly that. It was like the moon almost. It was so creepy and raw and just spread out and scary that it was just kind of creepy scary.
Wow.
And there were like mountain ranges throughout, like I can't remember the whatever, the big mountain range in the middle of it. I should know the name of that. If I looked it up, I could tell
It's
you.
in the previous episode, and I found it's number 62 on March 1st, 2020. So that was right before lockdown. That's the last one we did before lockdown.
Oh, it was in the 1st of March of 2020. Interesting.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Didn't think
Yeah, so you talked about all that there, about how rustic it is and all the animal life and
so I
all
took
that stuff.
Yeah, I took pictures of it and all that. And so anyway, to fast forward, I get there. I do a couple of trails. I did the first trail I did was this Boquillas Trail, which is kind of on the far east side. And that's by this kind of the village. You know, there's basically two places where humans can go and collaborate with other humans, and you get Wi-Fi and cell service. And there's like the village, which is way on the east side, and then there's like the main center in the middle of the park. And so you would kind of go there to get ice and check your cell phone, and then that was about it. And then you're back off the grid for however long. So I did that, and then I camped out at this gravel pit number 3, which I thought would be cool.
Gravel pit number 3? That was the name of it?
That was the name of these sites. It was called these gravel pit 1, 2, and 3. And so you're camping kind of right on the Rio Grande, and I was just in a tent, and I was by myself, and I could kind of tell there was other humans around, but they were like way, way, way off, and you couldn't have generators and all that back here. So it was just dead silent, beautiful, a little creepy. Of course, I was armed, even though you're not supposed to be armed in a national park, but I was. I'm not going to do that.
All right, I'll edit that out in case the FBI is listening.
Yeah, you don't have to. They're not coming. I promise. Everybody down there is armed to the gills. So, then the big day was Saturday, and so my big planned event. And so ever since I got my new knees a couple of years ago, I've been this kind of mountain climbing dude. And so I climbed my first 14er a couple of years ago. I climbed my second one this summer, and so I wanted to climb the tallest spot in Texas. And then it comes to find out Emory Peak is the second tallest spot in Texas. So I'm like, well, crap. But I did it anyway, and it was, and so it was.
Of course you did it. You weren't going to just say, "Oh man, that one's like what 3 feet."
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference really in size?
So the tallest spot is in the Guadalupe National Park, way over by El Paso. And so that's the second national park that we have. And Guadalupe has a peak up there that's slightly taller than Emory Peak in Big Bend. So I'll have to do that at some point.
Right. You got to do that next. Yeah.
But anyway, this was a 10-mile round trip. And so it was 5 miles up, 5 miles down, and there's a lot of vertical rise. And I was prepared for all of it. I had plenty of, water and snacks and whatever. Well, anyway, everybody had warned me. They're like, hey, man, there's a bunch of black bear down there. And so, of course, I wanted to go as light as possible. So I bought this can of bear spray. I've never used bear spray before. But then I get to the trailhead, and there's this old timer who's the kind of the game warden, the trail boss or whatever. He's the park ranger. And he's probably, 65, 68. And he's like, I see you got some bear spray on there, son. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just being cautious. And I didn't bring my firearm in my backpack because I'm like, that's just some extra weight. I don't want it. I've got a knife. I got my bear spray. I got my, whatever. I should be good, right? So I take off on this thing. The guy's
So what did he say? He was discouraging the bear spray?
He said, I've been working here 3 years on this trail. I've never heard one time of a use of bear spray. And if you're smart, you'll know how to deal with the bears that you see. You basically wait for them to cross the path. If it's a mom and cubs, obviously you give them space. But otherwise, you just be smart about it, and you won't have any negative interaction with and these are black bear. And sure enough, I didn't see any.
But did you tell him about your friend Ned? Did you give him that story?
I was wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah, because if I had that story, I would have bear spray too.
Yeah, where's Ned with the the backpack and the right shoe?
Right,
That's all
right.
that.
You may want to tell that story for folks that haven't gone that far back in the archives.
Oh yeah, so I was fishing in Alaska with my brother-in-law's brother-in-law, Greg, and we went over and we fished the Kenai River with his best friend Ned, and we caught some awesome king salmon in the Kenai River, which was amazing. And this was 100 years ago. But anyway, like 3 weeks later, Ned goes moose hunting on Kodiak Island, and he gets eaten by a bear. And all they find was his backpack and his right shoe. And so I wanted to make a T-shirt that says "Where's Ned?" and it just shows, a backpack and his right shoe. Anyway, I was not wearing that morbid shirt, but the guy did kind of make fun of me. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're not gonna, if you're not an idiot, you'll be fine." So
yeah.
whatever.
If you're not an idiot, you'll carry some bear spray with you. Is how I view it.
Yeah. So anyway, I went up, and it was funny because there were like 7 or 8 college kids that I was leapfrogging over them, and then I would rest, and then they would go, and then I would leapfrog, blah 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 blah. The whole way up, I don't know. It took me, 6 hours to go up and down, and it was fun because there was no way any animal life was going to be anywhere near me because those college kids were so loud, chit-chatting the whole way up and the whole way down. The funny thing was, at the end, they made it up before I did, and one of them, and there was the young man, it was like 7 girls and 1 boy, and he was like smoking a joint up on top. I smelled it like wafting down on me. I'm like, okay, that's how you celebrate. And so the last stretch of it, they warn you on Emory Peak on that trail, it's very intense in that the trail's fine going up, but then it's really the last, they call it 250 to 300 feet, is a full climb where you're climbing up the face of rocks, where you're not, there's no trail. You're truly climbing up like a kid, like pulling yourself up boulders.
Like rock climbing that we used to take the kids to do. You're doing that stuff?
Except there's a 3,500 drop behind you, 3,500 foot drop, which is kind of intense. So right as I'm about to start.
So how do you do that part? I mean,
carefully,
Yeah, but like, did you have special equipment? Or?
No. You don't need that. You don't need that.
You don't?
I mean, it's like a slope, like like a 70-degree slope up, and you're just like you're putting your feet in cracks and pulling yourself up. So if you have any anxiety over that, you really shouldn't do that. So the funny thing was I did this trail 1 billion years ago over in Yosemite, and the first year I went with my sister, I go by myself up this, it's called a 4-mile trail, about 2/3 of the way up, and I had never hiked in my life, and I didn't take any water, I didn't take an energy bar or anything, and I was exhausted, but I was also 24, I think, so I was in great shape, and who cares? So it's a 4-mile trail up, and I'm going 2/3 of the way up, and I see this guy come down, and he's like, "You'll never make it." He saw that I didn't have water or anything. He's like, "You'll never make it. You should turn around." And it was like the most depressing, deflating thing, but I didn't know how much further I had to go. And sure enough, it got in my head, and I turned around.
Oh, well, anyway, man.
Yeah, and I was so disappointed. So then the next year I went back. I had been training hard. I'd actually, understood, hey, here's how you hike, and I had a little backpack with some water and power bars and whatever. And so I got exactly to the same spot. And it's just funny how God works. But I got to exactly the same spot, and there was a young lady that was coming down, and she said exactly the opposite. She said, "You're almost there. You can make it. Keep going. You're going to do it." And I'm like, how awesome is the thinking?
You're like, where were you at last year?
Yeah, as opposed to the Grim Reaper. So
the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, so that happened here too. Except the nice thing is, I'm old and I don't listen to people as much.
Yeah,
anymore.
you're like, no, go away.
So I get right to the point where you put your backpack like on the rocks, and then you climb up. Like everybody leaves their crap, like this one kind of launching spot for the hard part up. And so I was putting my stuff down, and this young guy who I'd seen before, he'd passed me before, he's coming down. He was wearing this kind of really weird tank top that was showing all this stuff. I didn't like it, but whatever. That was its own thing. I was like a fashion, I'm like, why would you wear that on a high? It's totally inappropriate. But anyway, he was coming down.
And you were just shirtless though, right?
Yeah, well, of course. no.
You're like, why would you be wearing a shirt up here, man? Come on.
Yeah, I don't ever wear a shirt. I'm kidding. No, so this guy comes down and he's like, that was the scariest thing I ever did. I was hanging off and I thought I was going to fall 3,500 feet. It was a nightmare. And I'm like, well, Godspeed, brother. See you later. And I just kept going because I'm not going to listen to that crap. So anyway,
well, good for you, man. Why do you think people want to do that?
No, hold on. I'll tell you this.
Okay.
One more thing, and I'll shut up about that. So I get up and I take pictures of the group of 7 or 8, and they take pictures of me, and it's fun, and we're laughing and giggling. And then it's time to go down. And they're like, hey, mister, would you show us how to get down? We're scared to death. So the college kids who've been smoking the joint up there are scared to death because going down that traverse was way scarier than it was going up. Okay. Just so you know. I mean,
would you say just smoke another doobie and watch me?
Just take the plunge, baby. No, I said, no, just follow me. I'm going to show you a route down and we're good. And you just slide down on your butt and grab hold and you're good. So that's what we did, and it was fine. Anyway, what would motivate people to do that? The hikes there are amazing. The vistas.
No. I meant, what would motivate someone to try to discourage you on the very last little stretch? That was what I was asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's happened to you twice.
Yeah, it's a very negative personality.
Yeah, it just seems like a real lousy thing to do.
It's a lousy thing to do for somebody that's just a negative personality. So, yeah, that's just not my mojo. And all the way down, I was like, now, when I got back, I mean, I'm a couple of miles down off the peak, and by that time, I'm not saying, you can do it, it's right there. I'm like, if you really want to be honest, it's really, really hard. For the next 45 minutes or so. I mean, but I'm not going to say that. So,
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but no, it was great. So Big Bend. Now the thing was, though, it was when I got down, I checked the temperature and it was 103.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah. So this is in second week of May, and I was fully dehydrated. It was, I passed, a dad bringing a 2 and a 4-year-old up who were just crying because they were so miserable. It is hard, and the weather is unforgiving. So if I go back, I think I'll go back, but I kind of want to go in the winter, because I think desert winter weather would be way better than 103 degrees. So I get down to the bottom, and I was still going to do the next day was the Santa Elena Canyon. I had brought my kayak, and I was going to reverse row up the Santa Elena Canyon and do all that.
Wow.
I really wanted to do that. Was really the second big thing I wanted to do, Emory Peak and the Santa Elena Canyon. Now on Friday night, I will tell you, I did hike before I went to bed, I hiked the Hot Spring Trail, and that was amazing. It's this very, very short, maybe a quarter of a mile trail, and you go back around to the river. It's a very hard drive in. I will say that. The drive to the trailhead was really hard. So if you have, they said if you had a dually, you couldn't make it because you're basically driving on this jagged road and there's a cliff and you would skin your truck all up. But I was able to make it in my truck, and they got there a quarter-mile hike, and then you're basically you're at this man-made kind of structure that is sitting on top of these hot springs, and then they flow like kind of almost like a shower into the Rio Grande. And so then you get in there in your swimsuit and you just enjoy the hot spring, and then you hop in the Rio Grande and you swim around a little bit, and it's like 103 degrees up here, and then 80 degrees in the river.
And so in the river, the currents are not bad. Like you can actually swim in the river without being
just for fun.
Away?
So there was some old fart that was down there too. And there was a couple that was down there, and they'd been in there. They said, we've been here for 3 hours soaking in the hot spring. I'm like, great. I was there for 5 minutes. Anyway, there was also this old fart who was super compliant. And I'm like, I'm going to Mexico. So I jump in the river. I swim across. It's maybe 12 yards.
Oh, you swam across to Mexico?
Yeah, I swam, and then I'm standing in Mexico and like, Viva Mexico, all that. And the old guy was like, you don't have your passport, sir. I'm like, really?
I will
really?
build a great wall.
There's no wall to keep you out.
For 12 yards. 12 yards I swam, 12 yards, and then I was literally standing in Mexico. So, I mean, that's kind of the fluidity of it. It's kind of a tiny river, and you're walking across, you're right there in Mexico. And a lot of people down on the east side, you can actually there's a guy in a kind of a canoe, and he'll push you, he'll ferry you across the river, and then you go into this cute little town and go eat and shop and all that, and that's cute. But you do need your passport for that. So anyway, now because I was so dehydrated and all that, I didn't camp that night. I get to my campsite, it's still 103 degrees. I'm on the desert floor right by the Santa Elena Canyon. I felt like dog crap, and I just
did you have water back at the campsite that you could get to?
I had
or were you?
Yeah, no, I had everything. I had a big cooler, but you're just when you're that depleted, it just takes a little while for you to kind of ramp back up. Yeah. So I pulled.
So were you kind of like in a situation where, like on the bikes, we would call it bonking? Were you in that state?
I was there. Yeah,
you were bonking.
Okay, I was.
Yeah,
there.
That's bad.
It's like where you're not to get
your
too
brain's not quite working right.
Yeah, not to get too biological, but when your urine's real dark and that kind of stuff, you're like, oh, that's a bad sign. So
that's not good.
Anyway, so I got to the campsite, and I'm like, 103 degrees. It was 7:12 in the evening, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. The best place I can be is in my 72-degree cooled car. So I just got in my car and called it, and so I started driving back to Argyle. So I got all the way. Cell service was at like Fort Stockton. And I called Amy, and it was about 10 o'clock, and she's like, no, that's not a good idea for you to sleep in truck stops all night. You're going to get murdered. Because that was my plan. I was just going to drive and then kind of sleep a few hours in the truck or whatever, and then just keep going. And she's like, no, that's a horrible idea. So she convinced me to, and my daughter too. She freaked. And so then I found some Holiday Inn Express for $80, and I slept there for 5 hours, and then
that's a good plan. Yeah,
it was by far the best shower I think I've ever had. So I need to go back to do the Santa Elena Canyon, which was pretty cool. So
that sounds amazing.
So it was great. It was great.
It does sound fun. The only thing I think I would not like about what you did is that final stretch to the top. I don't like heights at all. I mean, I'm a big wimp when it comes to heights. So I think I would have checked out at that point.
You should seriously look at the YouTube videos for people climbing that, because it is just as kind of scary as you might think it would be. So I want to warn people, like if you're listening, for some reason, if you're listening to this, do it, but just know that last stretch is a pretty tough one. So,
and how far is that stretch? It's like
I'm going to say 25 yards up.
Oh, okay. But 25 yards straight up is pretty intense. Yeah.
Well, and it's like that. So the angle is like that, but you're, for all that you can't see my hand motions, it's like, 75-degree angle up. So
what was up on the top? Was it just like was it flat ground up there? Or?
No, it was really kind of disappointing. It was really rocky up there, and there were a bunch of stupid antennas, like satellite antennas or phone antennas or whatever, which was weird. So you're taking pictures and videos around this dumb antenna. But overall, the vistas were beautiful. I mean, it looked like you were seeing all of Mexico and all of Texas, which was really cool.
Wow.
So anyway, I can't discourage it, but I do want to just give a general warning. It heats up quick. You are out of cell phone, and frankly, there's nobody there. So if you get in trouble, you're in real trouble. So anyway. And I would say go with a friend. The solo thing, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled when I heard about that.
Whatever, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, that's kind of mine. I took me. I'm an overpacker. I took everything imaginable.
Yeah, so, I know that's true.
It was fine. It was fine. So anyway, Big Bend, go and have a blast. So hey, enough of that. So tell me about some of your trips, man.
We did Big Bend also, Kendra and I.
Yeah.
Slightly different version, different country. So we went to
different continent. Yeah.
So we went to the UK this past summer for our 30th anniversary celebration.
So awesome. Congratulations,
so it was cool.
By the way.
Thank you.
I don't think I've told you yet, but congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. You really need to congratulate Kendra. She's put up with a lot.
Yeah.
I'm lucky she's still around.
No, that's great. So,
but no, we had a good time. So we spent 9 days over there. We went to London for a few days. Then we went up to this area called the Cotswolds, which is kind of like out in the country.
Okay.
And out there, you got to pretty much drive. Mm-hmm. So I rented a car. I drove in the UK for the very first time in my life.
On the left-hand side, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Left-hand side of the road, but you're sitting on the right-hand side of the car. So everything's totally backwards. Yeah, totally backwards.
Wow.
I mean, we had gone to St. John the summer before. They drive on the left, but you're still on the left side of the car, like the cars are here. This was like everything was backwards. So it took me about a day to get used to driving there. I mean, I was just like white knuckle, scared to death.
Yeah.
And Kendra was having to talk me through like basic things, like turning right. Turning right was difficult because suddenly it's like you're cutting across like it's a left turn.
Yeah, you can't just go for it.
No, there was one point where we were coming up to our turn. It was a right turn. And Kendra's like, you got to turn right. We were on a highway. You got to turn right. And I said, I can't do it. And we just kept flying down the freeway. So I turned around and went back. But after about a day or so, I got used to it.
Okay.
And then we went from there up to York. Oh. York is really cool. It's up in the north. And it was a former Roman city. Oh. So it's got the big Roman walls still around the outside that are partially knocked down, but you can actually climb up and walk on the top of the walls around the city.
I would like that.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then prior to Romans, apparently the Vikings occupied it. So there was a big Viking museum. So we went through, did all that.
I would like that too.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then after that, we went up to Edinburgh, Scotland. Oh, and we ended the trip up there. So we took the trains, all the way up. We took the train. Except for the driving around in Cotswold. But we took the train basically from London, which is down at the bottom of the UK, all the way up to, across those stops. And we ended up in Scotland, which is, up north of England. So
now, did you bring back any scotch or anything cool?
We brought back a couple of bottles of scotch for Andrew and Aaron.
Okay, good.
Yep. We brought them some souvenirs back.
Yeah, we need in the last 25 months. Not that I have a alcohol problem by any means, but I might. But
is that why we haven't had an episode in a while?
Yeah, but I have really learned a tremendous amount about bourbon, and so we'll have to talk through that.
We'll have to do a bourbon talk. There was a thing in Edinburgh where it was called the Scotch Whiskey Experience.
Okay,
and it was kind of a tourist trap, but it was also really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And you had to have a reservation. It was like a 2 or 3 hour thing. And they have the largest collection of scotch in the world.
Oh, wow.
So you got to see that. And then they educated you on all the various different regions of Scotland and where the scotch comes from and how the flavors are different from each one. Some of them are super smoky and all this stuff. And then after that, we did a scotch tasting where they gave us one from each of those regions, and you could kind of experience that. So it was really cool. And then we saw some castles. We toured Windsor Castle. We toured the castle up in Edinburgh. I can't remember the name of that one.
Yeah.
And in London, we saw the changing of the guard. That was kind of cool.
I would like
but we also did one thing in London that I think you would really, really, really enjoy. It was called Churchill's Bunker. So Winston Churchill.
Kendra told me about that, and that sounds crazy awesome.
Yeah, we were down there. I was like, man, Kyle would love this. It was really cool.
Oh, you know what? So I think The Darkest Hour, I think I talked about this the other day, that the movie The Darkest Hour, which is really talking about kind of the critical moment that turned World War II, and Churchill, all of his strategy sessions and communications with FDR were down there.
Down in that bunker. Yeah. So we saw the conference rooms and the rooms where people lived. So Churchill was in and out. He didn't live down there, but there were a lot of the staff. I mean, it was fully staffed.
Right.
And a lot of people lived down there for months and never came up for even fresh air. They had to bring all kinds of, AC systems or fresh air systems down under there just to keep people alive. And that's, back in the day, there was also a lot of smoking. So they talked about how much cigarette smoke would be down in this bunker constantly with people living. So anyway, that was really cool. So that was our Big Bend experience. And I think I might have got dehydrated too one time. At one of the castles, maybe.
Oh, I believe that.
Not really.
Nothing
like yours.
I could believe that with all the steps. I mean, it's all, it just, I just watched the new Denzel movie, and it was about this place called Altamonte, Italy. And it's basically this little village, but it's basically built on this hillside or mountainside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's got to be in amazing shape just because you're going up and down all these stone steps just to get back and forth between places. And
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, the weather over there traditionally is kind of cloudy.
Okay.
And I had been over there a lot for work, but never for fun. So I had given Kendra a heads up. Hey, it's probably going to be kind of cloudy, especially in London, yada, yada. We got there. It was beautiful. It was beautiful weather.
Wow.
And everybody kept talking to us about, the heat wave that was going on because it was sunny. And they kept saying, it's so hot here. And it was like in the 70s. I mean, it was just like perfect weather. We're like,
that's so
this
good.
is a heat wave. I could live with that.
Now, what month did you guys go?
This was in June.
Okay, so it was right before the heat dome settled in, right? So, yeah. Because we've been in a flamethrower. Literally, we just live in a hairdryer for.
Oh yeah. This was right before that happened.
Okay.
So it was already getting hot here, but not like it's been for the past couple of weeks.
No, a couple of months. It's been awful. So yeah.
I think it was only in the 90s today, though. It felt like.
Yeah,
really nice
98 degrees is a huge reprieve. Yeah. You're just like, this is great. I think I'll put a light jacket on.
Turn on the fireplace.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, good. Well, trip talk. We'll have to revisit that. So why don't we hit on the ranch update? You want to do that? Green Acres. I can still sing
man.
it. I watched that growing up. Anyways,
I did too. I love that thing.
Yeah. You tell yours first, and then I'll tell you the abbreviated version of mine.
Okay. Well, yours is mine's pretty abbreviated, but basically so I mentioned that we went to St. John, summer of 22. So summer last year. And we got home from St. John, and, for those of you that don't know, since we haven't done an episode in almost 2 years or over 2 years, I don't know. We're empty nesters now. So all the kids are out of the house, and we got home. This was in early July, and we were just kind of looking around. We're like, you know what? Why do we need these horses and chickens and property and all this stuff? So we decided to downsize our place, and we sold the place, which was great, and it happened really fast.
Yeah.
That was early July. By the end of July, we had a contract on the new place, and then we put our place on the market September 1st, and within, I think, 4 days, we had like 5-6 offers and picked the one we wanted. By October, we were in the new place, and we love it. So downsized significantly both the house and the property. The property is just enough size to fit most of my grills and smokers. I had to give one away to. I had a very short list of people that I would give that thing to, Kyle. So I'm glad that you ended up with it.
I am the proud recipient of one of Kevin's barbecue pits, and I could not be more proud. So anyway, but y'all's place is amazing. I love it. And then this outdoor kitchen. So more barbecue talk from a pitmaster coming up because Kevin, your outside kitchen and all the grills that you got, man, it's awesome.
Dude, I tell you what, I've been outside cooking like literally every single day. Even in this heat, we got fans out there. I turn it on, just pop out there, fire it up. We got a little burner, right? So it's not always grilling and stuff, but like if I'm cooking, it's outdoors. I love it out there.
That's so good. I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear that. Well, I love your new place, and I think that was an awesome decision. So great.
Well, it's been an adjustment. I mean, going from where we were to basically, you can't take a crap without the neighbors noticing. Type of situation.
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting because Amy and I only have, let's see, 7 months until I get the early bird special for the discount at the assisted living place. So
Nice.
Yeah, at 55, I think I get the discount. So I'm really looking forward to, we just move in and have 3 squares a day and, have karaoke hour at 3 o'clock. And we're good.
Head out there to Robeson. Sarah works out there. She'll take care of you.
I know. It's kind of what I was thinking. Anyway, so good. That's a great ranch aid for today. For me, I will say, Kevin, this for gardening, 2023 was by far my best garden in probably a decade.
Wow.
And it was, I don't know what happened. I kind of changed some things up and did some pretty aggressive watering and tried to keep the weeds out as best I could. But, man, it was really good and
That's
really
impressive
good.
to do that in this heat, man. That's really, really impressive.
It lasted through, I would call it mid-July. And then, with the heat dome over us and 110 degrees every day, it started burning up. And
Game
so
over.
I lost all my, cucumbers, zucchini, squash, and then finally the tomatoes. And I had some really, really good This was my best year for tomatoes ever.
We ate a lot of that zucchini and squash this year.
Good.
Amy
Yeah.
would just consistently drop off a delivery, and we'd chop it up and saute it up and have it. It was really, really good.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
really
no.
appreciate that.
Well, it was really, really good. So then, interestingly enough, my cows, I kind of am in this homeostasis spot right now, which is really good. My buddy, Dr. Buck, who we had one on the program one time before, probably about the Houston episode, he gave me a little bull, EJ. His big bull is called Esau, and then I named him Esau Jr. So I went down there.
We talked about EJ on one of these episodes. I'll have to go back.
I don't think so because I've only had him for about a year and a half. So
Yeah, we
anyway,
talked about it. I'll go back and find the clip because I remember it was extremely hilarious.
Okay. Well, EJ.
Well, it was either on one of these episodes or just in us shooting the bull one time. It might have been
Okay.
there, but
I don't know.
You
But
made
regardless,
some funny comments.
So I've got EJ and I've got my 5 heifers, and so they're now all producing. And so I've got 3 babies, and I look forward to 2 more in the next month or so. And so they're just spitting off a baby, all the time, which is great. And so that's the cows. And then I had a major tragedy with the chickens. Just a month ago, we had this bobcat that, really looks like a mountain lion. He's huge. And the firefighters across 407, right next to your old place, they got a picture of him, and he's just massive. And then Brad, the hay guy, which is about 100 yards over this way, he got a picture on his night cam in his backyard at like 3:10 a.m. 3 Wednesdays ago. And this guy looks like a massive mountain lion, but it is a bobcat.
Was that the picture you showed me? Or
Yeah.
did you take a picture? Okay, it was that one. I couldn't
it's
tell.
the firefighters
Yeah, that thing
took one
was
and Brad took the other.
huge.
Yeah.
That
And
thing
so
was
he-
huge, man.
He ate all 20 of my chickens and killed them all. And it was real nimble because he would get in one night and kill 2, and the next night he'd come in and find another way in after I'd try to patch it up, and he was just unbelievable how he would get in to my chicken yard and then chicken house. And so he killed them all. And so now I'm in this massive retrofitting of the chicken house, and then I built this run, and I'm almost finished. I sent you a picture of it last night.
I saw that. That's cool.
Almost finished with the chicken run.
So I had that on my list to build a run for our chickens for quite a while, and I never executed on it. But that's the way to go, man. That's a real nice way to do it.
Yeah, I'm giving them, I'd say it's 12 good steps, It's like a long run that's 12 steps long and maybe
That's all I need.
10 feet wide. And I've got it fully chicken wired in. And then that chicken wire goes out about a foot, 18 inches out. So they'll have dirt on top of that so they can't dig under.
Nice thing is you can hang like water and feed and stuff like that from that kind of ceiling too. That was my plan. And then
I didn't even think of
just
that.
Easily walk in, open the door, walk in.
Yeah.
Do the water, whatever.
Well,
Makes it
and
so
then-
much easier.
Well, I look forward to it. And then on the bees, the black devil killed 4 of my hives. And I'm down to 1 hive, and I've really just kind of...
What's the black devil?
Well, that was the stupid little companion horse that Caroline, my daughter, got for her lead barrel horse, and she's in chiropractic school. She's so busy she can't.
What? I don't even know. I never even heard about this.
So the boys called him Winston. He was this little black horse, but his name was Duke, but he looked like a Winston because he was this prancy little black horse, and he was a miniature horse that lived in somebody's backyard for a few years. But
like a little Shetland pony or something.
Yeah, except he's jet black with long mane, long tail. He was a real.
My
pretty
dad
guy.
always told me that Shetland ponies were mean, and he had a Shetland pony growing up that he rode. He always said those were mean.
He's right. He's dead right, and they're mean, but they're so smart that they can pick any lock. And so he would pick locks to my tractor barn, the gate, every gate available, and then he'd let the cows and horses out into the road, or he'd open up the barn door so Alice could go in there and crap all over the place and just destroy my tractor barn. All my screws and whatever I got in there is just destroyed because we got this 2,500-pound cow.
How do you pick a lock with those hooves, though?
No, it wasn't with his hooves. He would just lip it. He'd just lip it for hours, and then finally it would go.
Work on the combination.
It would. I'm not kidding. That's why instead of Duke
lock.
or Winston, I called him the Black Devil. So finally, and he killed. Here's how he killed the bees. He's so smart that he would wait till a blue norther would come up. And so that's this terrible, terrible winter storm where it goes from 50 degrees to 15 degrees like that. I'm snapping, and so the Black Devil would sit there and see it coming, and then he would go out and he would bash the beehives. He knocked 4 over at once, and then it turned from 50 to 15, and they froze to death. And I couldn't.
So why would he knock over the bees? What was his point in doing that?
Just to be mean, and because he did it once before on the first storm, a single hive, and I saw him. He was out there and he kicked it, and he knocked it over. And I was here and I looked at it. And I just wanted to go shoot him. It was so mean.
So there was something related to the storms coming in that would cause him to kind of lose his mind and go attack.
Oh, he didn't
the
lose his mind. He was just mean. I guess they'd stung him, and he's like,
he was just frustrated or something. Okay.
I guess. But then, so he knocked that one over, and I was able to save that hive because I saw what he did, and I wasn't smart enough to fence it off. And then the next one came in, and he knocked over 4, and they all froze to death, which was terrible. So
that's horrible.
Anyway, so I'm down to one hive, and I'm just kind of, I don't know.
So what did you do with this horse? What happened?
She sold him to somebody else that's a barrel racer that needs a companion horse. They'll get barn sour or buddy sour, like when their buddy horse goes off and they just can't stand it, so you leave a little companion horse with them, which is so stupid. Anyway, but that's kind of the ranch update. Just rolling along with. Now we're down to 2 horses, 2 mini donkeys, 1 hive, 0 chickens, and I don't know, 12 or so cows.
One thing I do miss about the old place is the chickens. I do miss that. We enjoyed having those eggs all the time.
Yeah,
I miss the garden too. We didn't do a whole lot of gardening, but just the idea of gardening was always nice.
I liked it when you gave up. And it was just fried box of vegetation.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it always ended.
But no, we had to buy store-bought eggs for the first time, 2 weeks ago, which
oh man, it's rough.
Weird. That was weird.
Yeah, we've had to do that since we moved out here. It's been almost a year.
Yeah,
that was a big adjustment.
Little white eggs versus my normal giant brown ones. It is kind of sad. So anyway, we're going to get some more as soon as the heat cools off just a little bit. So
all right.
Well, hey, any other updates? Or are we good?
That's all I got, man.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for reconnoitering this. Glad to chat with you again, and we'll try to be a little bit more normal.
Yeah, so. I'll see you again in 2 years. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice knowing you. Bye.
Just kidding. All right, adios. Yeah. Look us up. Leave us a review. We're on all the platforms at this point. So, adios. Take care.
Right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.